Yesterday I showed you this, and today I'm showing it to you again with J.J. Abrams style lens flares, but this is the Axum Sport 29. I'll link the review down in the description. This part of a trifecta of new Axum bikes, the Axum Comp X, the Axum Comp, and then this Axum Sport 29. But I'm not done just yet with the Axums, because there is another, and it's a mini Axum, a little smaller Axum with 24-inch wheels. This is the Schwinn Axum Sport 24. And while I still have the other bikes, I decided to just bring this one out because they kind of go together a little bit, at least with the trim accent colors, because they both have this yellow tone, which now looks distinctly yellow. On that bike it looked yellowy green, but I believe it's the same color. The same style graphics, though this frame, this one a bit different. It kind of reminds me of the frames on the previous generation Axums. At least a little. The down tube's somewhat different, but it's a pretty good looking frame. Let's go over this top to bottom and see what this little 24-incher has. Now I'm not going to be able to ride this because obviously it's too small for me, but I can give you all the details that I know about this bike. Starting up top with these bars, 635 millimeters wide, 31.8 diameter. Check out this little bitty stem. I would like that on some of my mountain bikes. Nice little short stem there. How short is it? Well, there you go. Bar complements. Check out these little grips. They're slip-on rubber grips, kind of BMX style, but the width, they're just smaller because this is a smaller bike. My hand goes from end to end on these grips. Controls, we have a trigger shifter here. This is a micro shift trigger shifter, 1x8, so that cues us off that this is going to be at least an 8-speed. Only an 8-speed because there's nothing over here. Mechanical disc brakes, and we can see this alloy lever that is identical to the ones on some of the other Axums that are its bigger siblings. So good continuation of like parts even on a smaller bike. I like that. I sort of showed this to you earlier, but there you go. If you want to pause and read that. For now we're going to move down to what looks like a tapered head tube, but it's actually not. This is a faper, not a true taper. Suspension fork. No preload adjusters, but it does say suspension. So you know what it is. That's suspension. And that looks like maybe about 60 millimeters of travel. This is a typical budget big box fork with the old style support arch. A little bit better seals than the cheapest of the cheap. Some Schwinn branding there, the 24. This does have quick release wheels. And according to this, these tires, these 24-inch tires, are 24 by 2.4. Nice and thick. Good wide little tire. Sets off well on this bike. Schrader valves, Schwinn branded wider rims. A little glossy. These look to be about the same width as on the larger Axum there. And they should be because 2.4 wide. Doesn't matter that they're only 24. They're still 2.4 wide. So pretty much the same rims, just smaller overall. Let's look at this drivetrain, where we have the standard Schwinn polymer pedals that just look larger because they're on this smaller bike. I'm pretty sure these are the same pedals. Looking back and forth, I don't think they're any smaller. These crank arms are smaller, 152 millimeters. A single chain ring. Now I couldn't find any markings on this, and I'm not particularly good at counting teeth when there's a chain on it, so I'm just going to guess that this is a 30-tooth chain ring. Moving to the back, we know there's some micro shift on this bike, and here you go. Micro Shift 26C, a tried and true entry-level derailleur. There is a derailleur hanger. You can see there that this rear wheel is a bolt-on. The front wheel quick release, but the rear a bolt-on. For the gearing at the back, a free wheel, but this is a little different. This is a 13 to 34 tooth free wheel. And you know, that's going to give this a decent range, especially for being a smaller bike. This should get the younglings up hills quite well and give them a little bit of top speed. Here's the hang card. If you need the barcode, this comes with an owner's manual. Quick release seat post clamp for the 27.2 millimeter seat post. The saddle they chose, well, it's this one, another gloss and flat black combo. Looks okay on the bike. Let's get a closer look at these disc brakes, mechanical disc brakes, unbranded, but look at this. These rotors, those are 160 millimeter rotors with the Schwinn star in them. I always like that. But they look larger on these small wheels, especially at the back. There's the proof of the sizing, but look at this. On this small wheel, it looks almost like at least a 180, almost a 203 millimeter disc rotor on the front and rear. Plenty to stop this little bike. I'm going back to its bigger brother, the closest related bigger brother, to look at this external cable routing, because if you remember, this has a half-half system. Half internal, half external cable routing. But let's look now at the Axum Sport 24. It's all internal. Like I said, this frame more reminiscent of the previous generation Axums. I do like this blue finish where you can see it in the sun there. It kind of glistens, a little bit of metallic with that yellow trim. It looks good. Top tube tapers in at the back, and this down tube just kind of tapers all over the place. There's triangles and widening out and rounding and back to a triangle. It's a good looking frame. It's a well-made frame. Schwinn doing their frames right here. Look at that welding. The down tube also features cage bosses, so you can put a water bottle in here. Though I do know there are no sized frames on this 24-inch model of the Axum Sport, and I measured this frame at 12.5 inches. Along with those rotors looking huge, look at this rear spacing. This is 135 spacing, but it looks huge on this little frame. The dual reflectors look bigger too, even when they're in the spokes. That's why I don't like these. But yeah, it has them. Frame material, aluminum alloy 6061, and that's my look at the Schwinn Axum Sport 24. Comment below with your thoughts on it and all the other Axums. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.